Part 5 of Federalist 80. I thought I would show you the title page of the book, which is the transcripts of conversations of Bill Moyers with a few thoughtful people. I was very lucky to have come across this book and these conversations because amongst them there was a conversation with Forrest MacDonald, who's a historian, and I said he is one of the handful of people who has refuted what Charles Beard had said about the founders of this nation. I was very lucky to have come across it, so it kind of gave me an opportunity to try to look at both sides of the argument, one against the founders or their intentions, and one for, or at least in defense of them. I want to give thumbs up to Bill Moyers and also say that this historian's name is Forrest MacDonald. There's a 3-hour interview with him on C-SPAN, and he might have a couple of other videos on C-SPAN. I encourage you to take a look, to take a listen. C-SPAN is wonderful for learning about American history, law, society, writers. It's great. So we finished paragraph 14 in part 4, and I'll just read these few short paragraphs to you. The judiciary authority of the Union is to extend, second, to treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, and to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls. These belong to the 4th class of the enumerated cases, as they have an evident connection with the preservation of the national peace. Third, to cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. These form altogether the 5th of the enumerated classes of causes proper for the cognizance of the national courts. Fourth, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party. These constitute the 3rd of those classes. Fifth, to controversies between 2 or more states, between a state and a citizen and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states. These belong to the 4th of those classes and partake in some measure of the nature of the last. Sixth, the cases between the citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states. These fall within the last class and are the only instance in which the proposed Constitution directly contemplates the cognizance of disputes between the citizens of the same state. Seventh, to cases between a state and the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. These have been already explained to belong to the 4th of the enumerated classes, and have been shown to be in a peculiar manner the proper subjects of the national judicature. From this review of the particular powers of the federal judiciary as marked out in the Constitution, it appears that they are all conformable to the principles which ought to have governed the structure of that department, and which were necessary to the perfection of the system. If some partial inconveniences should appear to be connected with the incorporation of any of them into the plan, it ought to be recollected that the national legislature will have ample authority to make such exceptions and to prescribe such regulations as will be calculated to obviate or remove these inconveniences. the possibility of particular mischiefs can never be viewed by a well-informed mind and a solid objection to a general principle, which is calculated to avoid general mischiefs and to obtain general advantages. So notice he's already acknowledging that there are these inferior courts, these different federal courts that are going to be talked about, that are going to be actually put in place. That will happen when the first Congress meets, and actually they did in 1789 when the first Congress met. They put that big Judiciary Act, which gave the framework of the federal courts. So we will talk about Federalist. We'll read and talk about Federalist 81 in the next video. I just hope that the books I have been mentioning to you, one day you will have a chance to look at them. If not, definitely watch some of the interviews and panel discussions and lectures by these different professors. And I want to acknowledge Bill Moyers here for all the work he's done, especially these interviews in this book and volume 2 of this book. I benefited a lot from them.